Hi everyone, welcome to Biolin Homeschool. I'm your Amrita Miss. Today we are going to discuss very important question, microsporogenesis. CBSE Class 12, Sexual Reproduction in Flowering Plants Biology part. Okay, so last class we were actually discussed about the structure of the microsporangium and how the like different layers actually protecting the microsporangium. Correct. Now we are going to discuss about the microsporogenesis. What do you mean by genesis? Genesis, it is the formation. Correct. So genesis, see here, microspore actually the male gamete. Correct. Male gametophyte, that is the male gamete, microspore. Genesis means what? It is actually the genesis is the formation. So last class, once again just remember, see the anther, it is bilobed in structure and it is actually present on the tip of a filament. If you are making a cross section of this one, the typical structure is like this. So it is actually circular in outline. Okay, wow. Now it is bilobed ditheca structure. Correct. So this having two lobed and two theca. Inside we have a lot of sporogenous tissue. It is called sporogenous tissue. And it is 2n number, that is diploid in number, and it is also called microspore mother cell. This is what last class we explained, and how the structure of the microsporangium also last class we explained. Now, what do you mean by microsporogenesis? As the anther develops, each sporogenous tissue undergoes meiotic division. Okay, so you can see this figure. These are the thecas, correct? Theca. So we have dithecas, total 4 theca, and inside the microsporangium we have microspore mother cells. So pollen mother cells. What is the ploidity? It is in 2n number stage. Now this will undergo meiosis. So meiosis, what will happen? The number, chromosome number will reduce. Chromosome number will reduce. Chromosome number reduce. So what happened? After meiosis, it will produce 4 number of cells. It will arrange in the form of a tetrad of pollens. It is like a tetrad. That means 4 cells. And here 1, 2, 3 is there, and backside one more cell is there. Okay. So it forms a tetrad of tetrad. That is the microspore arranged in a cluster of 4 cells. And the formation of microspore from pollen mother cell through meiosis is called microsporogenesis. So formation of the microspore from microspore mother cell, it is called what? Microsporogenesis. So this is what the introduction. Now as the anther mature, what happened inside anther? It will mature, will dehydrate the microspore, dissociate, and these tetrads, it will dissociate from each other and it will be releasing in the form of pollen grains. Correct? And each microsporangium contains thousands of pollen grains and they are released with the dehiscence of anther. So for the dehiscence, what enzyme is very important responsible? That is calase enzyme is enzyme for the dehiscence of the pollen grains. So that's all about the microsporogenesis. So microsporogenesis, it is the formation of the microspore from microspore mother cell. Where the microspore mother cells are present? Inside the microsporangium. It will be in a diploid condition. So this is like that, it is diploid condition and it will undergo meiosis. Then what will happen? It will produce 4 number of cells, 1, 2, 3, 4 number of cells, and backside this is called a tetrad of cells. And this tetrad of cells, once dehydrate, after maturation, it will be dehiscence, okay, that will be releasing outside in the form of pollen grains. So the entire process is called what? Microsporogenesis. Clear? Now, if you are observing a typical pollen grain, a single pollen grain, the structure is like this. Okay, you can see here, right? So this is actually, it is spherical in shape. For the diameter 25 to 50 millimeter in diameter, and the cytoplasm is surrounded by plasma membrane. So there is a plasma membrane. It has a plasma membrane. Here you can see a plasma membrane. And pollen grains have two layered wall. It has two layered wall. The outermost layer it is called the exine, and the innermost layer it is called the intine. So this is something very important. You will get one question out of this portion, correct? So the exine, coming to the exine, that is the outermost layer. Here it is actually made up of very important one chemical that is called sporopollenin. It's called what? Sporopollenin. It is very, very highly resistant to organic material. It is resistant to organic material. It can withstand high temperature and strong acids and alkali. It can withstand the high temperature and strong acids and alkali condition. And enzymes cannot degrade sporopollenin. They cannot degrade the sporopollen. That is the reason it can be used as a fossil. It can be used as a fossil, which helps to study in the paleoclimatic conditions. Okay, so exine has some aperture. So in some area you can see there is no sporopollenin or there is no exine. That area is called what? This is actually called a germ pore. This is called what? Germ pore. Correct? And pollen grains, exines have some apertures called germ pores where the sporopollenin is absent. And these pollen grains are preserved as fossils. It is due to the presence of the sporopollenin, because sporopollenin, where it is present in the outermost covering, that is the exine, and the exine, it is highly resistant material. It cannot be degraded by high temperature, enzyme activity, alkalinity, everything. So that is the reason it can be preserved as a paleofossil. So exine exhibit also different type of patterns and designs, etc. Is that clear? Okay. Now intine. Intine, it is the innermost layer. There are inner layer. Here you should remember only one point. It is usually made up of cellulose and pectin. It is made up of cellulose and pectin. Now a typical matured germ pollen grain, it has two cells. Actually two cells. It is actually unequally divided two cells. Unequal cells. One bigger, larger cell, it is called a vegetative cell. Okay, it is called a vegetative cell, bigger cells. And a smaller cell, it is called a generative cell. So vegetative cell, it is bigger and has abundant food reserves and a larger irregularly shaped nucleus. So it has a lot of reserve foods actually inside. But generative cell, it is small and floats in the cytoplasm of the vegetative cell. It is spindle shaped with a dense cytoplasm and a nucleus. Only remember one thing, it is actually not equal cells. One is bigger and the another one is smaller. The bigger cells is called what? The vegetative cell. It consists of a lot of reserve food materials. But the next one, it is called the generative cell. It's usually floating in the vegetative cells. Clear? So usually nearly 60% of the angiosperms, the pollen grains will be shedding in the form of two-celled stage. So this like two-celled stage only, 60% of the angiosperm. So this type only they will actually release. But what happened? Remaining 40%, what will happen? This generative cell, again it will be dividing into two. Again it will be dividing into two. It will be producing three cells. One cell, then two, and then three. So three-celled condition. So some of the angiosperm, it will be shedding in the form of three-celled stage, and some it will be shedding in the form of two-celled stage. So this is the overall structure of pollen grain. Okay, so you have to remember spherical in shape, two layers, outer layer exine and innermost layer intine. Exine having a very important chemical that's called sporopollenin. Sporopollenin, it is very highly resistant chemical, and also that's the reason it cannot be degraded by any of the temperature, alkalinity or any of the environmental condition. So it can be preserved in the form of fossils. It can be used in paleoclimatic stems. This is the overall structure of the pollen grain. And inside, it has two cells, vegetative cell and a generative cell. Vegetative cell usually bigger in size. Generative cell usually smaller in size. Vegetative cell, it also has a lot of food. grains, but food, this was reserve food materials. But a generative cell, what happened in some of the angiosperms, again during shedding time, what happened, it will be dividing into again two, then total 3-celled condition. But mostly 60% it will be shedding in the form of 2-celled condition. Clear? Concept clear? Now we will go to the questions part. Now, differentiate between the two cells enclosed in a mature male gamete of phytoplasm and angiosperm. This is what I just now explained. What two cells are there? That is, smaller one, it is the generative cell, and the larger one, it is called the vegetative cell. Generative cell spindle shaped in structure, and it is very thin dense cytoplasm. Vegetative cell has a lot of cytoplasm, and also some food granules, lipids, everything. So that's all. Only about the 2-mark question you will get, and you can draw a small rough diagram. That is outer mode like this. Then you can draw some intine like this one, small rough diagram. Then you draw one structure. This is vegetative cell. This is generative cell, and these are some spore or pollen, germ pore also you can draw. Clear? Is that clear? So this is what. Draw a labeled diagram of a mature pollen grain. Directly they will ask the question for 2 mark or 3 mark. So perfectly draw everything and label it properly. You will get full mark if you are drawing properly. Okay. Now, where is sporopollenin present in plants? State its significance with reference to its chemical nature. Sporopollenin, where it is present? Sporopollenin, it is present in the exine layer of the pollen grains, correct? And it is highly resistant and do not degraded by any enzymes, and high temperature, strong acid, everything. So it can be preserved as microorganisms. Same. This is what I explained. Sometimes like this also question will be asking why pollen grains can be used as a paleoclimatic study. The same point only you can write, but it can be preserved in the form of fossil. So through fossil we can study the paleoclimate. So it is due to the sporopollenin and its property. You can write. Okay. Now trace pollen grains development from sporogenous tissue in the anther. So in this diagram you can see this one. You can draw this flow chart. That is, the first one, microspore mother cell undergo meiosis. What happened? Ploidy will change into n number, that is tetrad of microspore. Then after that it will undergo mitosis. It will dividing into vegetative cell and generative cell. Again this generative cell will dividing into 3-celled stage. So this is what the question answer. You can draw, you can note down this point or take a screenshot of this page and draw it properly. Clear? This is how the questions will come. And also the last question from 5 mark. Explain the process of microsporogenesis in angiosperms. You will get this question for 5 mark. If it is 5 mark, how you can structure the answer? See, give a small introduction about microsporangium. Introduction about the microsporangium. Okay, and it has 4 layers and all the points, right? So everything you can write down the introduction. Then directly you started with where typical this one, what inside the microsporangium, sporogenous tissue will be diploid in number, and this diploid number, it will undergo meiosis. It will produce the tetrad cell. Then again what happened? It will be undergoing mitosis into vegetative and generative cell. The same story you can continue. Then you can write all the points about sporopollenin and a typical pollen grain. Everything you can include in this answer. So you will get 5 marks. So don't forget any keywords, so that ensure that all the keywords has to be included in the answer. So I hope you understood the detail of microsporogenesis. If you have any doubts, please comment. I will be answering all of your questions. Thank you so much.